Hey guys and girls, welcome to your writing lesson for today. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. We're going to start with our learning target. I can write a personal narrative story. I want you to remember that a narrative story is a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A personal narrative story is a story that's all about you. This is a true story. This is not anything that you hope to do or something that's make-believe. Everything that happens in a personal narrative story has already happened before or is happening right now. So we're working on writing a personal narrative story. When we left off last week, I gave you the steps on how to write a story. Now we've already completed this step. Think of an idea, a thing that happened to you, or a thing that you do. And we made a small moment map and we made a bright ideas map, and we've already thought of our ideas, okay? We've got 5 ideas on our paper and we've already chosen one. Thursday, we moved to this step, the planning step. There are 2 ways that you can plan a story. We actually did both of these. It's called touch and tell and sketch across the pages. I'm going to pull out my book real quick just to remind you what touch and tell looks like. So last Thursday, we wrote our names. I told you to skip the title for now. I'm going to teach you ways on writing a creative title later. But right now, we just have your name and your date, the date that you started writing your book. Now, when you're planning your story, you're not writing your story, guys and girls, okay? We're just getting our ideas down. So we've already learned in reading that in the beginning, that's our B, I need to tell you where and when the story took place. That's my setting. So if I'm touching and telling across the pages, I'm just going to touch the pages and tell you what I'm going to write on this page. This story is going to be all about where I was at, CrossFit Fitzgerald. It was in the daytime around 4 o'clock, and it was in the month of June 2020. Okay? Also in the beginning, on my next page, I want to tell you who I was with, who was there. I was there along with some other people that were working out, and my coach was there. In the middle, I want to tell you what happened and why it happened. I twisted my ankle doing burpees. I stepped down from the bench and my ankle twisted when I stepped on the leg of the bench because the ground was unlevel. So why did it happen? I just told you. I stepped on the bench leg while getting off and it was unlevel, so that's what caused me to twist my ankle. Why was I at CrossFit to begin with? I was working out. I was trying to get in shape. E, in the end, how did I feel? Or how did the story come to? How did my problem get solved? Well, my ankle it still kept hurting. I was a little bit embarrassed when it first happened, but I kept working out, I kept exercising, and eventually it stopped hurting. Okay, so touch and tell. All you do when you touch and tell is you touch the pages and you tell what you're going to write on each page. Well, today we're going to move on to the next step, writing. Now, we're going to use our plan to help guide our writing. And guys and girls, we're not writing our whole story today. We're just going to work on the first few pages, and I'm going to give you some ideas, okay, on how you can do that. All right, so I want to show you guys. I've got some ketchup, and I've got some mustard here. I've got some pepper and some ranch dressing. I've got some garlic powder and some mustard seasoning. And I've got some lemon pepper seasoning. I want you to think to yourself, what do people do to their food to give it more flavor? We add seasonings, right? We add condiments, we add sauces, or your salad would be kind of boring if you didn't have any salad dressing on it, right? And what about a hot dog and hamburger without any ketchup and mustard? That would be kind of boring, right? So we add condiments and spices to our foods to give it more flavor. Well, I'm going to show you ways that you can add flavor to your writing to keep it from being so boring. I'm going to give you a lot of hints over the next few days on ways to add details to your writing. And we're going to begin with one of our condiments to add flavor, and we're going to focus on that today when we write. We're going to focus on this step. Now, this says, take small steps. Let's see if I can show it to you. Take small steps to tell who, what, when, where, why, and how. Now I want you to think, guys, we've already added those asking questions to our stories at the top, to our during our plan. So this is going to help us. We're already ready to take small steps. Now we just have to do it. And I don't know if you can see it, but it says take small steps first, next, then. And there's a spider on this condiment because it says think about the itsy bitsy spider. Tell what exactly happened step by step. So that's the first thing that as we do today when we write, I want you to take very, very small steps. When we sing the song, the itsy bitsy spider crawled up the water spout. All right, so he crawled up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. So then the rain came down. Then the spider fell out again. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. So then the sun came out and then the rain went away. And the itsy bitsy spider crawled up the spout again. So then he goes up it again. We could have just said the itsy spider went up the water spout, he fell down, and then he tried it again. No, I want you to take itsy bitsy small steps, and I want you to stretch out all of the details that happened in your writing, and I want you to tell me about it. The only way that I'm going to know what happened in your story is if you tell it to me, okay? So we're going to start with our beginning, and I'm going to model taking itsy bitsy steps. But before I do that, I want to read you a few pages from a few books. This story is called The Relatives Came. Now, I'm not going to read the whole entire page, the whole book, but I do want to read to you, and I want to show you how they took itsy bitsy steps. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. So right here, we know that the relatives are loading up their cooler, they're going back to Virginia, and they're leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. Here they are over here on this side, waving them off in the dark, standing in their pajamas. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. So this author is Cynthia Ryland. She doesn't just say, our relatives left and we went back to bed. No, she gave itsy bitsy steps about what exactly they were doing. They were standing in their pajamas. They waved them off in the dark. They watched them disappear down the road. They stood in the yard until they could not see them any longer. And then, look, we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet, and we fell asleep. The author could have just said, our relatives decided to leave in the morning. They left. We got back in the bed. But no, this author stretched out the small moment and told me exactly what happened. They got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, loading up their coolers. We watched them leave until in the dark to when we could not see them anymore, and then we got back into our beds, and then we fell asleep. So they stretched it out and put all of those details on one page. Let's look at another story. This story is called A Chair for My Mother, and like I said earlier, I'm not going to read the whole entire thing, but I do want to read you just a page from it so you can see how they stretch these small moments out. Right outside our house stood 2 big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled. "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. Now what's happening on this page right here is this little girl and her mom have come home and their house is burning down. Okay? She could have just said, the author of this story is Vera Williams. Vera could have just said, we were walking home, we saw the fire, and we asked where Grandma was, and she was okay. No, it told us exactly what they saw. They saw 2 big fire engines, lots of smoke. They even told us the color of the flames that were coming out of the roof. They told us what the neighbors were doing. They were standing in a bunch across the street. She even went into detail about her mom grabbing her hand and running, and then what the exact words that they said when they were looking for Grandma. "Where's Mother? Where's my grandma?" And Grandma was all right. She tells me about her cat, how her cat was safe too with Grandma, and she also tells about how everything in the house was spoiled. She stretched out this one small moment about this house burning down and made it into a full page of details. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Now, I'm only going to write my first page. So when you do your writing lesson today, I want you to only write your beginning, okay? Only work on your beginning, and we're working on taking small steps and stretching out that who, what, when, where, why, how parts of our story, okay? So I'm going to start with the where and the when. So I'm going to tell where I was at, what time it is, and the month, okay? And I could even talk about how sunny and hot it was outside. So let's see. I'm going to start, and remember, you're using a pencil. This is writing, so I want you to use a pencil in case you make any mistakes. So I'm going to say, it was a very hot day in June of 2020. I went to work out at the gym, CrossFit, Fitzgerald. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. All right, so let's read this one more time. Let's see if we made any mistakes. It was a very hot day in June of 2020. I went to work out at the gym, CrossFit Fitzgerald. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Guys, I'm not telling you what I was doing there. I'm not telling you who I was with. I'm only on this page. I'm talking about where I was and when it happened, okay? And I want you to use all of these details that you put up here in your sketch to help you write incomplete sentences. You're writing your story now, so start writing incomplete sentences. Start your capital letter, your sentences with capital letters. When you need to end your mark, add it. And guys, we're not finished yet. I might be finished with this page for now, but I'm going to go back to it later, okay? So I've got my details. I'm going to go ahead and go do my B for my who page. So I'm going to go to the next page. Now on this page, again, I'm only talking about who was there when it happened, okay? So I'm going to say, I went to the gym by myself. There were other people there ready to work out just like me. My coach was there too. Okay, so I've talked about me being there, I've talked about other people working out there, and I've talked about my coach being there. That's it. I'm not telling you the problem. I'm not telling you how I felt. I'm only talking about my who on this page. I went to the gym by myself. There were other people there ready to work out just like me. My coach was there too. Now, that's where I'm going to stop, okay? Today, when you're writing in your book, I only want you to focus on the B, the beginning. So that means I want you to focus on the where and the when part of your book. Write that page, and I want you to focus on the beginning, the who part, okay? Now, if you're ready to draw your pictures for your who, and you want to draw your pictures for your where, go ahead and do that. The cool thing about sketches is, hopefully, you didn't press down too deep, too hard, because that was just some ideas. Now I can erase this, and I can draw my pictures if I want to.